All right, we will go ahead and get started. So we're going to call the session to order for June 24th, 2026 is now in session. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Clerk, will you please take roll?
Councilmember Lohman,
Here.
Councilmember Douglas,
Here.
Councilmember Burris,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hilberg,
Here.
and Mayor McCully. All members present.
Thank you very much. So do you want to do the special meeting first?
You just called the regular.
Oh, I
meeting to
did.
order.
Okay.
Let's look-
All right. Gotcha.
If you'd like to,
That's all right. We will do that. All right. So then we need an approval of the agenda order. Can I get a motion to approve it?
I'll move we approve the agenda order and amend it.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a
I-
second?
I was going to say,
Okay.
let's.
I may.
Let's handle the motion that's the pending motion.
This one's just for the
Routine-
agenda.
I
order.
withdraw my motion.
Okay,
Go ahead, Larry.
I'd like to remove item 8A from the agenda altogether. I'd like it to be postponed. I think $1 million or so agreement and a whole bunch of legalese that we didn't see till Friday is too much to expect of us to really try to read and understand it, and I would like more time. So I move to remove it or postpone it.
Well, I'm gonna agree in part with your sentiment that that was a very, very prohibitively short time frame. I will say I did have time to review it and I am prepared to act on this one tonight. So, maybe we'll take a clear pulse check of the rest of the council on whether everyone has had a chance to fully review it.
Well, we also can leave it on the agenda so that way those that have come up just for this can offer their presentation and insight, and then we can hold off on making a decision if you would like to do that. That's always an option.
Would you be willing to approve the item?
Yeah, so that way, because we have Lieutenant Reniger who's come up for that way we can speak with her as well, and then we can hold off on making a decision if you want
That's
to.
okay with me. I don't mind that part.
Okay.
I'm just not prepared to make a decision. I just didn't have enough time to read and comprehend it.
Okay, so then we will go ahead and leave it on the agenda, and when we get to that item, we can decide if we're going to go ahead and pass it or call for later. So, all
I'm
right.
good with that, and I'll put my motion back on the table.
Okay, so can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right. So agenda is good. Now I got to switch back to my pages. Consent calendar. Actually, no, I'm sorry, conflicts of interest. Do we have any new conflicts of interest with anybody?
No change.
No change? Okay, thank you very much.
Shane, no change.
All right. Our consent calendar, all items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be approved in one blanket motion with the council vote unless a council member or a member of the public requests something to be pulled for discussion. Items pulled will be addressed after we complete the consent calendar and do it as a separate motion. Is there anything from the consent calendar the council or the public would like to pull?
I'd like to pull item 2E.
2E. Okay. Anything else? 2C, the forklift, okay.
we need action from a member of the city council to pull that.
Okay.
The public can ask, but the city.
Okay.
I'll support pulling item 2C.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember Burris.
All right, thank you. So we've got 2C and 2E pulled from the consent calendar. Anything else? Then can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar minus 2C and E?
I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Larry's got the second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, we'll start with 2C, the forklift for the wastewater plant. So go right ahead, Ron.
All right. Because of the nature of the operation of the wastewater treatment facility, staff are routinely required to move chemical totes, pumps, motors, maintenance supplies, and other heavy equipment necessary for facility operations and maintenance. These tasks currently performed manually or with rented equipment. The acquisition of a forklift will enable staff to transport materials and equipment more safely, efficiently and reliably throughout the facility while reducing the risk of injury in operation. Matt had went through Sourcewell to get the pricing on this, just as we've done with some other things, and unfortunately he can't be here tonight, so I'll try to answer any questions best I can.
Okay. We'll go ahead and take comments from the public first. Tom, if you'd like to come up. Yep. Tom, would you check your microphone, please? Make sure it's on. As long as the green light's on, you're
There's a
good.
green light on now.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, $43,000. I thought we should at least talk about it. We had forks for the forklift to use for unloading pallets and whatnot, and I understand, have we been renting forklifts? I just don't, it just seems kind of excessive. And that's coming from me, and I think the sewer plant should get everything it needs. And when I saw this, I was like, what? So anyway, I wanted to just like talk about it and get an explanation on it. When I worked at the sewer plant, I bought a bottle of Mr. Clean to mop the floor and I got written up. And so, this kind of expense is, pretty high, and I think, I'd like to at least talk about it. So that's all I have to say. I mean, if there's a real need for it, then absolutely.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you for
Do we have
letting me vent.
Oh, absolutely. Do we have any other questions or comments from the public on this item? Anything from the council? Any questions, concerns, thoughts?
To Tom's point, are we able to speak to how much we've spent on rental equipment in the last, let's say, 3 years?
Yeah, again, unfortunately, Matt couldn't make it in tonight, for personal reasons, so I don't have a number on what he spent. I did ask that question, said make sure that you're not spending a bunch of money up front, that you could just schedule out with rental, and he insisted he needed this. He insisted it was something he had to have. I said, okay, get some prices on it. We'll take it to council for consideration.
So given that he did not get you that information prior to this meeting, I would be inclined to go ahead and put this to the next meeting, because he's not here tonight to present or answer this question.
Do you have any other comments?
Again, what was the cost?
43,144.04. Eat that. For a forklift? Okay. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Only, it would be nice to know the information that apparently only Matt has.
Okay.
How much did we spend? And how does that compare to putting out capital money?
Mhm.
Uh,
Any other comments from the council? I know I personally have a lot of faith in Matt and the work that he's done out there. I don't think he would be spending it if he didn't feel that it would make a huge impact in their efficiency of being able to work out there. And this also is, it's the tail end of this budget year. So if we carry it over, it's going to change a lot of things on the finance side of it, because we can't backdate it. So look at that. The woman who knows so much about money.
I can't give you a number on the rent. I could go look it up, but that's what I was going to caution you of, is there's a reason right now that the purchase is being made prior to the end of the fiscal year, because once that happens, then we're into a new budget year and we're not using the money that we have. Granted, it will go into the equity of the fund and it will still be there, but it's not a budgeted item at this time. So then would have to go through a budget amendment to the brand new budget. Just so you know.
Thank you, Katrina. So, like I said, I have every confidence in Matt to make a wise decision for that plant with what he's shown us in the last year and a half that he's been there. I know it is a big chunk of change, and you want to look at it. I had a conversation with him and I asked him, we have warranties, does it have service plans, whatnot, and all that stuff is part of the game plan for it. But if we don't pass it tonight, it will not go into this year's budget because the budget starts over again. Harry, we're not doing public comment on this item. We've already taken it. Harry, we've already done public comment on this item. Please have a seat. No, please have a seat. Have a seat, please. We've already done public comment on this item. Thank you.
So I would propose that maybe we go ahead and move the conclusion of this item to later in the agenda and allow time to go look that number up real quick, just so that we can have concluded the due diligence expectation for the public.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe how often he's rented it and what kind of dollar amount, if you're able to find it. Will that work?
Yeah.
Okay,
that
thank
way-
you so much.
That way, right before, I want to make sure that we did our due diligence, because I'm on the same page with you where I definitely have that same confidence, but I want to make sure I'm checking my own biases and doing due diligence there. And I appreciate Tom calling it out and making sure that we took a pause and did everything we're supposed to do before we made the call. So appreciate the accountability there.
Okay, then we'll just go ahead and table two C until Katrina's able to come back with
Yeah.
some numbers this evening. Okay, so we'll go to 2E, which is the employee handbook update. And Larry, you had pulled that. Do you want to go ahead and make your,
No.
or I'm sorry, Trinity. Trinity, do you want to go ahead and start with comments on that?
Yeah, so the reason I pulled this one was actually similar to why Larry wanted to pull 8A from the agenda earlier. We didn't get a lot of time to review a very, very large amount of material, and I don't actually know what the changes were between the versions.
Should have
Um,
been version.
No, I know, but I'm saying that because of the amount of time that we didn't have, and there wasn't exactly a clear executive summary of the changes. So can you just give us a rundown, just an executive summary level description of what modifications are made between these?
I can tell you from when I went through it, the majority of it is changes in basic verbiage and stuff that just needed to get cleaned up in language. But there's a couple others that were in there, but I know that was the
And
biggest
to that
of it.
point, the non-substantive, I'm not so concerned with so much as just, I want to know what the substantive changes were.
So there's a bunch of language cleanup in there that just didn't match the new MOU. So most of it was cleanup language. There were some things in there where employment law had changed, so LCW had changed the employment law verbiage in there. And then there was some language change to match the new MOU with the local 39.
And Connor reviewed it. He's happy with the updates.
No, I did not. This was produced by Lieber Cassidy Whitmore.
Okay.
Who provides counsel.
So either way, it still had that
It went through.
subject matter
Yeah.
expert.
Yeah,
sign
so it
off.
went through Lieber Cassidy Whitmore and then it went through the union also went
Okay.
through it and okayed it as well. But we couldn't bring it before then because we had to wait for you to okay the contract. So that was the last closed session that goes to the open tonight.
That helps. Okay, that was my questions. I feel like they're answered, so.
Does anybody else from the council have any questions or comments on the employee handbook? Okay, do we have anybody? Oh, go ahead, Larry.
My only comment is there's a lot of changes. There's red lines all over the place and substituted text. It's very hard to follow that way.
Like I said, I went through it a couple days ago and because most of it was just basic language. Little things that are in the long run aren't going to make any difference for our staff, fortunately.
Yeah, we went through that line by line during negotiations.
Yeah.
I would recommend going forward, and maybe we can include it as an additional appendix on the document. When we update anything like an employee handbook or something that people rely on as, a source of truth when it comes to any potential labor action. When we do revisions to versions, that we make sure that there is an appendix clarifying what changes were made between that and the last applicable version. So just the high level points, like, updates made to align with the MOU, updates made to align with law updates. That way, if there is a very specific policy level change that's not stemming from a systemic requirement, we are highlighting that in a very clear, easy to catch way that would not be overlooked by an employee potentially by mistake.
Okay.
Right, do we have any questions or comments from the public on the employee handbook update?
Yeah, 10 years ago was when it was updated, the last time, and the city usually violated it. Wrongfully fired an employee sued the city for that. So, I just wanted to vent again, make sure that follow this to the letter. That's it.
Thank you, Tom. All right, we will bring back 2E for a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve it and then just add that appendix I asked,
Okay,
just a summary of the updates or the reason for the updates.
okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, motion passed.
And I would like to make a motion that before we put something out here like this for public view, that they get what we used to call WYSIWYG, which is what you see is what you get. So rather than a document that has all these indicated changes, something that has the actual changes in it, I think we should do that and include it in a later agenda. I'm not sure how many people in the public care or how many employees might care, but this is really hard to read.
Are you just asking for a clean version of the policy manual?
And in other words, actually make the changes that are indicated
Okay.
on the side, actually make the changes.
Yeah, so a clean draft.
Yes, it's just too hard to read. You know, I can do it. I've done it before. We didn't always have WYSIWYG. You know, we used to get documents like this, but I think we should do better for the public. And maybe,
Just call it the flattened version.
yeah.
We have a motion, a pending motion to direct staff to prepare a clean version of the document.
Yes,
Within the second.
and include it in a later agenda so that the public gets to see it and the employees.
Doesn't it get posted on our website? Yes, so it gets posted to the website after it's been approved, so everybody can locate it on there as well.
Yes, okay, if that was, I would accept that.
Okay, yeah, it's absolutely posted on the website.
Okay.
Does that work? Okay. No motion needed then. Yeah,
Do you want to formally withdraw the motion?
Yeah, I'll withdraw it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Katrina's still out crunching numbers, so we will go to agency reports and start with Placer County Sheriff.
Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Good. Sergeant Williams, Placer County Sheriff's Office. Only a few newer things over the last couple of weeks since our last meeting. As most of you know, through social media and probably through word of mouth, we had an elderly gentleman go missing here in the city this last week and a half ago. Unfortunately, he's still yet to be found. Over the last week and a half, we conducted 4 separate operations down in the Stevens Trail area where he likes to frequent in hopes of trying to obtain some kind of clues, some kind of information of where he might be. And unfortunately, we didn't locate anything. Our deputies continued to do some follow-up with some other folks who had more recent information or what they believe was recent information as to his whereabouts and where they last saw him and when. We followed up with those and they were all around the same time frame as the information that we ended up getting prior to us starting the search. So we're still doing extra patrols. We're still following leads as they come in, or at least perceived leads, and at least trying to turn that into raw intelligence and try to locate him as best and as quick as we can. We assisted CHP with the overturned big rig earlier this week, trying to help out with the traffic as best as we could. And then we had a DUI crash at 174 North Main earlier this week. That driver was arrested and taken to jail. So good news is, I guess, if you want to call it that, they weren't too intoxicated, but just obviously enough to help cause the accident. So no major injuries in anyone there in either vehicle. So a little bit better news there. Oh, any other questions?
I have one.
Yes.
How would you characterize the flow of the river right now? I used to go down there every week, but I don't do that anymore.
I'm not sure. I'm not a river expert by any means, but if it's still dealing with the snow melt, probably pretty quickly.
Do you have any questions from the public?
I do. I saw a Cal Fire circling, it looked like over Steve's Trail. Were they looking for this one?
When was that?
Okay.
I couldn't be certain. I'm not sure. Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, CHP.
Good evening, everyone. Lieutenant Kilkenny with the CHP Gold Run office. Give you guys a little snapshot of some of the things we've been doing over the last 30 days. Over the last 30 days, my office, just the Gold Run office, has made over 1,719 enforcement contacts. So that's basically, if they see a violation, they turn their lights on, they come and contact you. Of those, 1,160 resulted in an actual traffic citation. And of that 1,160, 835 were due to speed, which is one of our biggest problems we have on the 80 corridor here. During that time, we've made 11 arrests as well. Why do I tell you all these stats, right? Because history and statistics show that the more enforcement contacts that we make with the public, whether they give a verbal or they give a citation, the more that we're out there, what we call in view patrol. Every time you guys see a black and white, you guys typically let off the gas. That's exactly what we want. The reason we do that is because it reduces the amount of crashes that we have in that area. Reduces injuries, reduces fatals. During that time, we took 22 crashes. Of those, only 7 of those 22 resulted in injuries, which is a good thing. And during that time frame, the last 30 days, I compare it to the 30 days, that same time period a year prior. So that's kind of how we judge how we're doing, and that's a 18% reduction in crashes during that time, which I think is good. It may not seem like a lot, but I don't know any lives and injuries we saved and families that we saved. So I'm really happy with what my troops are doing right now. Some of the things that we've just recently done last Friday night on June 20th, we held no, that was Saturday. I apologize. June 20th, we held a maximum enforcement DUI raid statewide. My guys alone made 85 enforcement contacts, and 61 of those resulted in citations. We did not get any DUIs. I would say that's a good thing that they weren't out that night. Maybe the word got spread. But that was only a 12-hour period, so we kind of hit that pretty hard. We do have next weekend, 4th of July, maximum enforcement holiday period that we will be out in full force and circling around Colfax as well, helping out the SO as well. Much like the Sheriff's Department just mentioned, we did have a semi-truck that overturned, I guess it would have been 2 days ago, about 11:30 at night coming down the grade. They're about a mile east of the train trestles there. Speed was a factor. He did have approximately 160 pigs in the trailer. I'm just going to assume, I don't know, but I've been doing this a while, that probably hit the brakes at some point, going a little bit fast. The load shifted, and then he couldn't control it from there. The trailer overturned. The driver was transported, but go to find out, did not have any injuries. That was a unique scene that I don't think anybody at that scene's ever experienced before. So it did have some logistical issues that we dealt with, that it took us a while to kind of get up and running. Additional trailer to offload the pigs that survived. Animal control was there. Our partners with the Sheriff's Department, Cal Fire came out towards the end and was helping out. Well, actually, they showed up on scene originally and then came back because the swines that survived were getting a bit hot. So we tried to do what we could there. Generated a lot of media attention. And I think jointly with the other agencies, we did a really good job given the circumstances, tried to make the best out of that. Typically, when we have a truck overturned there, we can get them up and running a lot, get the lanes open a lot quicker. That was caused about a 14-hour delay, which caused major traffic issues all over, all the way up to Truckee, all the way down here. I drove by right after and came through here. It looked like a parking lot. So we are well aware of the ramifications that these crashes happened. I want you to know that we're doing everything we can to try to prevent those from occurring to begin with. Want to know some other things that we're doing up and coming to help combat these big rigs, because that's a big issue with the speed, them overturning, them resulting in truck fires, which affects all of your guys' homes. We're well aware of that. We have a joint enforcement campaign on July 1st and July 20th with our neighboring CHP commands, which will be our Truckee office and our Auburn office. And we are pulling resources from our commercial units. Those are the guys that kind of drive the Dodge pickups with the white camper shell. Those guys are strictly enforcement. They're going to come out there and we're going to hit it really hard, and we're going to push it on social media. So you guys will see that. We're going to try to make a dent on that the best we can. So I'll stop talking. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Do you have any questions from the council? Go ahead, Larry.
I want to see the video.
Well, you could see it was all over the news media. There was about 3 or 4 different news medias there, but yeah, it was definitely a weird, unique scene that I've never been part of, and so we all learned a lot. That's for sure.
Do we have any questions or comments from the public? No? Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Placer County Fire, CAL FIRE.
Good evening, USP White Battalion Chief with Placer County Fire and CAL FIRE. Last week, we successfully orchestrated the wastewater treatment plant VMP, Vegetation Management Project, burning 26 acres. This week, upcoming, we've been doing the prep over the last few weeks for Burnt Flat, same style of burn. It was a great opportunity for some training for some of our newer firefighters and for some of our company officers in some of the leadership and management positions, as well as good management for fire prevention in the future. The Burnt Flat burn, we're expecting to do 14 acres. We're expecting to do that on the 2nd, if weather permits. I spoke with UP face-to-face about some weed abatement for the upcoming 3rd of July. And the on-duty battalion chief, who will be the IC during those festivities, is going to be here Friday morning. So he'll take you up on the offer to meet with UP's PIO. A lot of mention on social media about aircraft. We've done 2 different training sessions, one today and one earlier in the week, with some of our newer pilots, some of our contract aircraft. So today and a few days ago, we had one of our air attack planes, one of our air tankers, and one of our helicopters. Today was the Chinook out of Truckee. They were training with myself and one of my captains on how to aggressively fight the fires in our canyons and make sure that our communications are going well. So nothing to be alarmed with today or earlier in the week with the aircraft overhead. We're just doing what we need to do to keep our fires small in the future. And then regarding the flyover request, I've pushed forward after our meeting this morning, the requests on our side. So I'll hand that off to Chief Burgard, who will be the IC. So he'll coordinate that moving forward. And that completes where we are up to this point with Placer County Fire.
Okay, do we have any questions from the council? Anything from the public? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. In the same manner that we have in the past, our defensible space inspectors come out and will do inspections. And our goal is assistance through our professional understanding of the law and how we can help you to understand exactly what you need to do to harden your home and to defend your home. Our goal is not to do enforcement, but we'd like to just to get the work done. So our defensive space inspectors will be out in the area They hopefully can meet with the homeowners face to face. We have our checklists and paperwork that'll show you what is lacking or what's looking good on the property. We have multiple folks plus our engine companies. So we have a whole defensible space inspection team based out of Auburn who canvass the 3-county area that we cover, as well as our engine companies do the same inspections, and they get out and get active throughout the communities. There's no 800 number. You can go to fire.ca.gov for the information on that, and you can talk to me offline afterwards, and I can get you information you need. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Caltrans was not able to make it, so do we have any nonprofits that want to make a report this evening? Okay. Can we go ahead and do the forklift now since Katrina's back? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and bring item 2C back, and that's the forklift for the wastewater treatment plant, since Katrina's got some numbers for us.
I ended up talking to Matt for a few minutes. And so what we've spent with the vendors that we use when we have issues with the pumps, which is what a good majority of the forklift is for, is about $40,000. So over the last 3 years. So we use 2 specific vendors that come out and help with the pumps. And then he said he wanted to be sure that I let you know as best as I can that there was a SAF project that a while back, and I guess they were supposed to get a forklift with it, and they ran out of money, so they didn't get a forklift.
Yeah,
And
that was the algae
moved.
removal project.
That was
And
to
he'd have
move
to have
the
a polymer
polymer.
to feed the chemicals into it.
Yeah, so, and they can't, with what they have, they can't move anything over 200 pounds. So they basically are using vendors to come out and help them do what they need to get done. So that's basically what he said. And then he just texted me. So let me make sure oh geez. Let's see. He said, please let them know that we do not have the ability to load polymer into the SAF process that was just installed at the plant for algae removal. They pulled the forklift from the project due to the insufficient funds for the project. We would have to hire a company to load and change poly barrels. We do not have the ability to move pumps or pull pumps at the plant over 150 pounds due to safety issues. Here's the reason behind the purchase. So that's what I was able to get
Okay,
together.
thank you, Katrina. We'll go ahead and take public comment. I know, Harry, you had something on this. Go ahead.
On the forklift issue, I did some homework before I came. That's part of why I was a little late. I called a company in Sacramento for assistance, and I asked them a couple of questions. One, is there a justification for $43,000 for a 7,000-pound lift forklift? And they said no. Because of the economy, there are so many. They're flooded with forklifts right now on the market, and we could actually get a 8,000-pound lift for 33,000 rather than 43,000. And I asked them also about they're in Sacramento, Pape. They've been around a long time. They have extended warranties. They have parts on hand right down there. They come on site and will repair. The lady that I spoke to has been a salesperson with them for 21 years. And she said, there's absolutely positively no reason for you to buy in that situation for that amount of money. Plus the fact that it was really strange when I did a little homework on what the staff wrote about this outfit. There's a middleman. It's not Bobcat. And by the way, Bobcat is made in South Korea. It's not American anymore. the Bobcat company goes through a government agency seller kind of guy that's in Minnesota of all places. And with all the graft and corruption going on, that'd be the last place on earth I'd want to buy anything from a government agency. But anyway, there's a commission involved in there somewhere. So by eliminating that, and plus with all the inventory that's available on the West Coast, you can have a forklift pretty quick and save a lot of money. And I'd be happy to turn over the information to you folks.
Thank you, Harry.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
Matt's gonna try to zoom in on the website.
okay, that would be great. If Matt comes in, we'll go right to him. Do we have any other public comments or questions on this item? No. Okay, then I will bring it to the council for questions or comments while we wait for Matt, who's trying to get on the Zoom with us. Got nothing. I know you were doing a little bit of research there real quick, Trinity. So we can table this again until he can get back on if you want.
I mean, I'm not, it's fine as long as we get to it before the end of the meeting.
Okay. All right, then yeah, we'll hold it, and as soon as Matt pops on, let us know and we can backtrack. So, all right, well, we're just gonna play, jumping around today.
It seems like we could do a little more homework on shopping, maybe not.
I think we'll wait and see what Matt has to say, because I know he did a lot of the digging on that, so we'll wait till he's able to join us, because he'll be able to speak knowledgeably about that. All right, so let us move on. Actually, we'll go right into public comment. That's where we are next. So public comment, every member of the public has the opportunity to address the city council for comments. You may speak on the council on any item that is not on this agenda. We cannot act on items not included in the agenda, but we can refer them to staff if needs be. If you'd like to make a public comment, please come to the podium, speak your name clearly. And if you'd like to state your address, do so and make your comments brief. You have 5 minutes. So if there's any other public comments. So quiet. Tom's getting his steps in today. I love it.
Tom Parnham again, always a pleasure to address the council. And don't worry, I'm not going to mention anything about the tree or the hotel. I do want to bring up the possibility of raising the stipends for city council members. I know it's not a very popular item. I'd be very uncomfortable for you guys to do that, but I think it's necessary and you need to work on that. That would be a good way to bring other people, younger people into the council. Like I said before, none of you are doing this for the money, but it shouldn't cost you money to be on the council. Let's see. Haven't heard anything about 4th of July yet, but I imagine I will before this meeting's out. And on a personal note, 1980, my sister moved here and I came out to visit her. She moved to Weimar and I came out from Texas and I'm still here. She was vice president of the chamber and she put on the 4th of July a couple of years in the 90s, and she passed away last week. And I just wanted to say this at this forum because I know it's going out to people in the community watching it online. So my sister, Nancy Garlick, passed away a week ago today on the 17th of June. And what else? That's all I got. Thank you.
Do you have any other public comment? Okay. All right.
I've been on vacation. It was great.
No excuse.
Nothing to report. I had a good vacation.
Awesome. Kim?
Okay, on the 11th, I attended the town hall meeting here and nothing noteworthy to comment on there, although we would like to get more attendance. We had a low turnout and maybe we can reduce people's sewer bill or something to get them to attend these town meetings. I don't know.
We'll do a
what.
raffle.
Anyhow, please attend the next town meeting because it is your town, people watching. Okay, then on the, oh, and that same day I drove to Auburn and attended the Air Pollution Control Board meeting. Their revenues are down 42%, but their expenses are down 42%. So their balanced budget, which is good. We spent about 40 minutes talking about if a data center is created in our general area, what would be the mix of tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 auxiliary input sources. And after 40 minutes of discussing that, we decided to postpone that until we actually get a data center. So that's a nice way of saying much ado about nothing. Okay, then on the 18th, I attended the Placer Economic Development Board, and that's also in Auburn. And there's some good news that came out of that. And if anybody wants, I brought extras down here if anybody wants a lot of literature. California our area leads California in employment growth by a nice percentage. Also, our area leads California in population growth. California lost 0.7%, but we gained 2.7%. So there was a lot of good news coming out of the economic development report. Well, there was a lot of discussion about the sales tax. A lot of the cities are increasing their sales tax, and that just by coincidence happens to be on our budget tonight, or on our agenda. Small world. And they're all voting in favor of increasing the sales tax. The main speaker was Anna Campbell of GSEC, and GSEC is Greater Sacramento Economic Committee. It's the big brother or big sister of the Economic Development Board. And they gave a lot of very interesting statistics about all the big companies that are coming here like Bosch and all the money they're bringing in the area. And this general area from Roseville up to here, you know, looks very healthy and promising. And then Saturday, I went to the street fair music, and that was one of the better ones that I've seen in decades. And we got a lot of new people. In fact, 90% of the people I didn't even know. So that's good. It means we're bringing outside people here. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Larry, are you guys okay if we hold on so Matt can join us and we'll go back to the forklift? I know we're being very choppy today.
That's fine with me.
Okay. All right, Matt, it's all about you. Let's hear about the forklift.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Are you there, Matt?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hold on. All right, can you hear me?
No, he's unmuted. Are you there, Matt? Go ahead
I'm
and
here.
address the council.
Hold on. Hold on.
We still can't hear you, Matt.
Talking, he says, I'm talking, he doesn't know what's going on. If it will abide the council, he can text fast. Yeah, he's showing up there. He's not muted.
Can you do us a favor and just talk? I don't care what you talk about, just talk so we can start hearing you, as they're listening to more until working.
Either that or I can tell you what he's texting.
I just heard that others listening online can hear him, if that's a hint.
So you may have me muted on your side.
I was just trying to see how,
This
what
one's
speakers were set up.
Try unmuting that though, but I think we usually leave it muted.
Hello, hello, hello. If anybody outside of the room can hear me, will you raise your hand and let them know that you can hear me?
Don't touch it.
Anderson, no video.
He's you. Okay.
Can you hear me?
And so they were gonna try to like. On that.
Recording in progress.
Our mics at the same time. Thomas, we know what we're doing.
You guys hear me?
You can turn yours on.
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you, Matt.
Okay, so a couple things. The main reason for our forklift at the plant is currently we have no ability to load any polymer into the new FAS system. So we can't even use the new process that we have because we have no ability to get the polymer into the system. The polymer comes in 55-gallon barrels that weigh over 500 pounds. So with the use of a forklift, we would have the ability if and when we need to use the system. Number two is we have no ability to lift or move anything over 150 pounds at the plant. Currently, we have 4 wet wells at the system. If we have to pull any of those pumps, we have to contract outside of the city with, currently I'm using 2 different companies to come out with a crane and pull the pump. We've already done that several times this year and last year, which costs the district about $1,500 every time we do it. And currently we're about $4,500 every time we've done that. And we've had them done probably 5 or 6 times in the last probably year. So with the use of a forklift, we would actually be able to hook up a crane system and pull the pump out because we have no way of pulling the pump.
So Matt, that all makes sense to me. I think the main question that was remaining in the room was regarding our sourcing And I know that you did get some bids, and ultimately recommended Sourcewell. Could you speak a little bit to, the range of prices that you came across in your research and what your research was?
Oh, Ron, can you translate that? Because it was like in a fishbowl.
So how did you land on the unit you picked? What other places did you pick and why did you use Sourcewell? Is that
So-
close enough?
Well, we get the best deal. There's no negotiating. That's the lowest price that they will go. Bobcat is one of the #1 brands that we need. And as for weight, currently, if we were to get a tow to polymer, which is 250 gallons, it's about 4,500 to 5,000 pounds. The other forklifts that I've looked at, Husqvarna, there's probably 6 out there. Bobcat outmaneuvered and outdid every single one of those companies. They're a well-known company. Their equipment lasts for decades. They have a service plan. They have warranties. So I wanted to go with a trusted company that would work and that would last the city for at least 20 plus years.
Okay, great. I mean, the math is all mathing for me. Can you just give a range on what the bids were coming in at?
Can you give a range on what other prices you found?
Over $70,000 for the 7,000 pounds loading rate that I needed with the off-road capability, because we do have to go down to Pond 3, which is down a road in gravel, up hills, everything. And the Bobcat outmaneuvered them up and down hills with a 7,000 pound rating.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Does anybody on the council have any other questions for Matt? No. Okay, are we ready to bring it back for a motion then?
Yeah, I'm ready. I would just say that, I mean, the price is well covered within the depreciation window. Makes sense regarding the use case as well as the, alleviation of alternately spent cost. Overall, the math says net gain for us, especially if we make the investment now so that we're not continuing to see cost escalation. And to his point, it is a well-established brand that will last decades. So yeah, I'm all in.
So that's a motion to approve item 2, what was it, 2C, thank you.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put that forward as a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes.
Motion passed. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. All right, so we're gonna go back to I'm sorry, council reports. There you go. What have you been up to?
I also went to the downtown concert and watched several hundred people, adults, kids, dogs, all kinds of people enjoying themselves, and clearly benefited downtown's businesses. In particular, I think the ice cream store and the bistro, and I saw people up and down the street spending money locally, which is the goal of that organization. So it was a success, and there are more coming. And secondly, I went to the Sierra Vista Center board meeting, and a year ago, and I won't go into the reasons, but that organization's board was running into insufficient funds. And there was a total changeover in the board of directors. And the new board of directors now has $46,000. So they've gained $46,000 from that time. I think that's very promising. And they've done a lot of maintenance. We know about the gym floor, but one at a time, they are fixing windows and painting windows and making really good progress on the building itself. And so I think they're a viable and successful organization, and they are doing better as time goes on. And another thing I could mention is they're approaching $500,000 now in the Bianchini Fund. And so they're doing well.
I don't have that much to report out on just because I've been so tied up with my employment outside of council. But on that note, I did want to acknowledge the fact that I am not planning to run for reelection this year because the demands have become so excessive. Wanted to make sure that folks are aware of that as we're coming into that period of time where they need to submit their nomination paperwork and get ready if people plan to run for office. And I want to encourage people to do so. And with that in mind, I'm going to back up what Tom said. I mean, I think people know I've been very resistant over the years to the idea of increasing the council stipend, but I think the last few elections have really shown how shallow the candidate pool is right now. And a lot of people who I have spoken to that I've tried to encourage to consider running because, they have great potential to really help the city and they have the skills. The problem generally comes down to balancing that demand and time commitment and everything that goes with it. So I would just say I think the council really needs to consider it and consider it swiftly because it is something that would have to go on the ballot before it could happen. It does have to be approved by the voters. So I just hope that that's something we can bring up here in a timely fashion to make sure that we're not leaving potentially amazing candidates that could really serve this city and all of us as constituents as much as we are council members going forward, because none of us are going to be on council forever. And we really do need to get more people to step up and be part of this because the city is just a representation of all of us. That's all I got.
If it has to go on the ballot, I'm assuming is it too late to put it on in November's because they needed it?
We'll check it all out. We'll bring back. results.
Okay, I just know you were talking about a July 1st deadline for that, so I didn't know if it was the same deadline to add something else to it, so.
I'll follow up on that.
Okay. Noted, I'll follow up on it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Last couple weeks, I got to go to PCWA's Hellhole event that they do. It's a gorgeous reservoir. I'd never been out there. And it was interesting to put a bunch of people in the room and the whole conversation was 75 years ago, some people sat around and made the decision to build this reservoir that has made Placer County the top county in the state when it comes to our preparedness, our water, how beautiful it is, how much people come and recreate. So what decisions are we going to make now that's going to make a huge difference 75 years down the line? So it's an interesting conversation. We had a meeting for moving the caboose, which is getting closer and closer. I know that some of that team met with Carl and Joe to get the final list of what reports they need to make that move happen. So hopefully that will be moving very quickly. And SACOG went to Placerville this week. So we hung out in Placerville and checked out some of the growth they've had around there. And that was about it. So, all right, city manager.
All right. Continue to work with the maintenance department in preparation for the 4th of July event. If you look in the depot area, there's freshly painted benches, walkways, and they're currently putting fresh bark around the grass area. So they'll be painting the curves and the crosswalks over there as well. Recent landfill testing shows that we're in compliance with our methane. I attended the Shady Glen Sewer Project kickoff meeting, so that's starting up. Attended the Community Development Block Grant Funded Pavement Project Job Walk this morning to walk around with Steve Simpson and look at all the different roads we're going to pave. He's planning on starting after the 4th of July weekend. He's estimating about 3 weeks for completion. Other exciting news, I got an email from the Prop 64 grant staff saying that they've requested that their board approves our grant. So that'll go out for approval to the Board of State and Community Corrections tomorrow at their monthly meeting. So we should find out Thursday or Friday whether we get that grant, but it has been recommended that the city gets the grant. So that's exciting news. And that's about all I have. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. So the first item on council business this evening is our agreement with Placer County Sheriff's Office Renewal Agreement. Lieutenant Stacy Reniger from the Placer County Sheriff's Office is here to present this item and answer all of our questions. All right. Yeah, as long as you got bright green, we're good to go.
All right. So in case everyone didn't hear me online, Stacy Reniger, I'm a lieutenant here with the sheriff's office. So city manager asked me to come to answer any questions in regards to the upcoming contract with the sheriff's office for law enforcement services. This will be another 3-year renewal to allow you to predict future costs. So he didn't ask me to present the contract, so that was kind of a change in what had been asked. So if there's specific questions, I definitely am happy to get into what the costs are based on. The contract is an increase of 5.5 year over year, which is similar to the last contract that we had, which was also a 3-year contract. The contract language also very similar to the previous contract. So if there are some specific questions, I'm definitely happy to answer those tonight.
Can you touch on the main parts why that the contract you're asking for more than the CPI? You had a list in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So the cost is based on a variety of factors. One factor is our personnel cost increases. So the deputy sheriff's general wage increase from the past 3 years was 4%, 4%, and 3% consecutively. Our communication costs have increased pretty dramatically due to the county IT charges. Mobile phones have been issued to all the deputies, which allow them to have follow-up with constituents when they're working on calls that necessitate those follow-ups. And then our in-car radio expenses, which have continued to increase as well. Communication costs, each one has an associated monthly cost. Just as you guys are familiar with your cell phones and things of that nature, our radios, each individual radio has a monthly cost, each individual phone has a monthly cost, and all of those continue to compound. However, they are improving our ability to communicate. So our new radios have not only our prior communication options, but they can switch over on their own to get a Wi-Fi signal, which has definitely increased our officer safety and ability to communicate in challenging locations. Another cost factor is just the general cost related to dispatch, evidence, records, our sheriff's IT, fiscal, HR. All of those costs are continuing to increase as everyone's wages increase. Training costs for our deputies. So we pride ourselves in training our deputies beyond the minimum standards of the state. And to do that, we need to bring in professionals to provide that training. And those training costs continue to increase as well. And vehicle expenses, as all of you are probably aware, unless you're able to do your maintenance on your own vehicles, costs for parts and maintenance have increased dramatically over the past couple of years. And then fuel costs continue to be an increase as well. So those are kind of the summary of what compounds that 5.5%.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to the public first if they have any questions or comments in regards to this item. Go ahead, Harry. Hi.
So the contract provides half of, so what we call an FTE, a full-time equivalent. So the sergeant is a half, deputy sheriff is 2.25, and the detectives are 0.1.
They're a active charge on the personal full-time detective.
0.1% of a detective is what the contract covers. But I'm actually glad you brought up the topic of personnel. So when you contract with the sheriff's office, you get the entire sheriff's office. So if there's a call that necessitates a hostage negotiator, we bring on our hostage negotiation team. If it requires a SWAT type call out, we bring our entire special enforcement team. If there's happens to be a crime that necessitates, like let's say a homicide, that brings our whole homicide team. So we're not charging for each individual who comes out to handle the call for service. That's just what the contract is based on, that percentage of that personnel. So when you contract with the sheriff's office, you know, our entire organization is over 600 employees. So depending on what is needed, then we are able to bring that entire complement that the sheriff's office has to offer you. Versus if you are a small agency that only has a certain number of personnel, that's the maximum number of personnel that you can bring to a critical incident. So So for example, our 3rd of July event, right? We bring out our mobile command vehicle, we bring out our complement of probation officers, we bring out bike teams when we've used them, we bring out a whole complement, and that's not something that we charge for each person who comes out to those special events. So there is a much bigger picture to it. So I'm glad you brought that out. Our missing person, our search and rescue team, detectives, additional patrol deputies all worked tirelessly to try to find that individual.
That's how much years past used to have a specific charge for the full-time detective and charge for that. It seemed kind of outrageous. But the way you explained it, the way they've now put it as a complete program, that makes much more sense.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you. Any other questions from the public? All right, questions, comments from the council? No. So we got to meet with Lieutenant Reniger the beginning of this month, and we kind of went through all of it and all the extra services that we are able to get using with them. And I'm quite pleased and comfortable. They've been very responsive anytime we've had any concerns lately. They've come up quite a bit in the last couple of months and addressed issues we were having. So their service is far above what we're paying for it. Larry, did you have a question?
I do. Oops, let me get my mic on. Is there anything in particular that's new this time that we weren't paying for before? And I realized it probably has to, that what I would call I know inside the corporation I work for, it was called a burden rate. And that burden rate included everything. So I'm assuming that part of that covers for probation officers and prisons actually, and search and rescue does that rate include all those things?
Well, it always did. So
Okay.
I wouldn't want to say that that's a new service that we offer as
Okay, now
contracts.
this was a second question. That was, okay, I get that. And then I've always had another question. How would you characterize the policing I would get if I lived across the street from the city limits and didn't live in the city? How would my policing compare to those that live inside the city?
It depends on if you're in incorporated Placer County or.
Incorporated Placer County.
So if you're in incorporated Placer County, meaning you live in a city like Rockland or Roseville or Lincoln, then they have their police departments that handle their calls for service.
Mm-hmm.
If you live in unincorporated Placer County or one of our contract cities, then the sheriff's office is your service provider.
So do they get the same policing then that we do by living in the city, or do we get something extra? Because I've always been curious about that. If they live across the street from the city limits, they're not paying any part of that $1 million+ that we're paying here. And I'm wondering, how do they pay? How do they pay for policing? And then that would lead to another question, which would be, are we that live in the city paying for policing twice? And I realize these are hard, high-level budgetary type questions, but how do we know we're not paying twice? Am I paying it, for example, in my property tax and also just by living here?
So I can tell you, if you wanted to stand up your own police department, which is what the cities, the larger cities in our county do, you would have to have your own dispatchers. You'd have to have a full complement of employees. You'd have to have all of your supervisors, your entire chain of command. So you wouldn't be able to operate with less than 3 personnel. You would need to have small cities operate with no less than 25 personnel. So you can only imagine if you multiplied these 3 by at least 6 or more, that would only be for your personnel. That would not include any special enforcement, any specialized units, any dispatchers, or the records, all the civilian staff, which we refer to in here as support staff, your records management, your evidence team, your IT department, none of those would be included. So you can only imagine how much you'd have to compound this cost to reach what you're requesting.
I don't think you really answered my
I got you,
question.
Larry. Got you. So your property taxes go to pay the county. County pays for a large portion of Placer County sheriffs. We are paying in the city for what was listed on there. We also get all of the additional services. So everything that Placer County Sheriff's offers, we get. And part of your property taxes go to support that. the county portion of your property taxes, part of that goes to support that. But we pay for specific coverage for the city, and we also get the benefit of everything else that's not included in the list. That's specifically itemized.
I didn't ask my question very well then, because I do understand that.
Okay.
What I'm wondering, if I have a neighbor across the street from me, is the same portion of their property tax that goes to sheriff the same as mine?
I don't have the expertise to answer how property taxes are distributed at the county level. That's not something that I have specific.
I've always been curious if we that live in the city are paying twice for something that people that live outside the city only pay for once. I don't know. I don't expect you to be able to answer that question. Actually, you've got a whole department to run, but there must be somebody at Placer County that does. And I would like to know the answer to that question, because we're paying a lot of money for sheriff, and I can only assume we're getting reasonable value. But I want to know, are we paying twice?
Well, if I can comment, what we pay comes out of the sales tax revenue that the city generates. So then anybody who's in the city would be paying anything they purchase, whether they live here or not, they're helping pay the sales tax revenue, which comes back to us and the general fund, which will help pay for this here, which would mean anybody in the community that's spending any money, whether they live here or not, is going to be helping to pay for it.
So I was trying to pull it up real quick, but I'm apparently not very good at Googling. I know that post Proposition 13, the actual calculation for how much of the property tax goes to the actual general law cities, it did change a little bit. But it has not changed in a way that decreased the minimum threshold requirement that was set in 1988. And the minimum threshold requirement is at least 7% of collected property tax does go to the city to provide public services. So with that being said, how much actually gets distributed from the county's allotment that they receive to the sheriff's department versus our allotment goes to the sheriff's department, I can't tell you for sure. But I will say we do receive a chunk of those property taxes that is ours to do what we need to do with. And what comes with that is the requirement that within our jurisdiction, we are responsible for providing minimum public services. And Sean can talk more to this, because it falls into the LAFCO discussion. And as a municipal jurisdiction, we have minimum requirements for what we're expected to provide for services. So if we fail to provide those services and we do very poorly on a municipal service review, then we can lose, this is an extreme scenario, but you can lose your incorporated status because you're failing to provide those services. So we have the financial responsibility to make the most economical decision to make sure we are providing the same level of service as the county. And in our situation, the only way to do that is through Placer Sheriff. I will say with the compounded wage increases that have come up over the last few years and what we're still expecting, the total 17% actually is a pretty conservative number. And I think that the sheriff's office is honestly being very fair with us in this contract.
Yeah, I believe that too. But at the same time, I don't think anybody in this room can answer the question I just asked. And that is, are we paying twice?
No, we are not paying twice. I can confirm we are not paying twice.
Yes,
I
you're not
want
paying twice.
the sheriff's department in Placer County to assure me of that, not somebody else that's behind the dais. And then
when I started, one of the things that I did was I went in and they actually sat me down with the finance team at the sheriff's office. Do you think maybe we could arrange that for Larry? I don't think he's had that same opportunity. Because they did a great explanation for me, walked me through like the line item by line item of how our contract worked.
Yeah, we did that just earlier this month with the mayor and the city manager. So they definitely have the information to share out if that's needed.
Yeah, they used to do it every time we got a new council member elected or appointed, they would have that new person come in and do it. And so if Larry could have an opportunity to do that, I think it would really help.
I'm sure they would be happy to do that.
I would welcome it. I would like that explanation, because we're paying $1 million for this service, and it's the largest item on our budget, and we're getting 1.5 people for that. That's an awful lot of money, but I'm not questioning that because I know it represents a whole lot of other things. I just am hoping that those that live in the city aren't paying for it within the city budget and also paying for it within their property taxes. Because I do know that the county budget is over $1 billion. I think it's, I don't know, 1.3, $1.4 billion, something like that. And virtually half of it is for policing also. So I'm not saying we're getting a bad deal, but I personally would like to understand it.
And Larry, I think if you want to also have a meeting with our finance team, they can probably talk to you about the grants we received that offset a good chunk of the cost of this contract, and that helps very significantly.
It's a different type question that I have.
I would just like to correct that this contract does not cover 1.5 personnel, just to make sure that we're all hearing the same correct information.
Yes.
Kim, you had something?
Thank you.
Yes. I never got to attend that meeting when I was mayor, but I can wait. My one suggestion is maybe that could be recorded because there's probably a lot of cities with a lot of mayors and you have to say the same thing. I wonder if that could be recorded and then only the mayor or mayor pro tem has access to it. That might save a lot of time and anyhow, just an idea to video record it and anyhow, that's all I had to say.
I know one day I was asking myself, and I'm not suggesting this, but if the city unincorporated like that, we're done as a city, that means that we have no agreement with Placer County for policing, but we're still part of Placer County. So how would that change how we're paying for your services?
It gets a lot more expensive when you unincorporate as a city, you get reassessed as a special district, and the LAFCO board determines what the special assessment is, and you no longer have any independent control over what that looks like. So everybody's property tax would go up astronomically.
I would like somebody from your accounting team or somebody that can speak to that at a high level, because I don't want to know the detail. I'd just like to know the difference between living in the city and living outside the city. And if that affects the level of policing, and are the people that live in a city paying twice? I assume that the numbers work all that out, but I would like to be assured of that.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments, or do we have a motion to approve or not?
I will move approval of the contract.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I vote no because I don't understand the answers to my question.
Okay, so we have 4 ayes and 1 no. Okay. All right. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
The motion passes.
And I misspoke earlier. I had not realized that a new law had passed regarding council stipends. Apparently, it is now a matter of ordinance. I think we'd be crazy to go above that.
Just a hair underpaid.
Just a hair.
Just a hair. All right, so we will go back to normal. All right, we're gonna go to good of the order. We'll run through good of the order. And once that's done, we'll have public comment and then we will close this meeting and then we have a special meeting afterwards that we will reopen under that one, just so people don't get completely confused. So, good of the order. Sean,
Tomorrow night's Placer Sheriff Fire Safe Council meeting, 6 o'clock at City Hall. That's all I got.
For me, the 3rd of July is coming up and I will be like everybody else, celebrated with barbecue, beer and fireworks. And then on the 4th, I'm going to Auburn where they're having a parade. And that's where I'll remember the words of one of my favorite presidents. Adams a couple hundred years ago, where he said, "The principles of the Declaration of Independence will be a blessing to all those who follow them." Thank you.
Yeah, I have several things that I would like to see agendized. And the first one is that we have people on some very important assignments that they get stipends for. And I would like to see, in addition to the representation we're getting from those council people, I would like to see a report each time in writing, just a brief report that says, this is how I represented Colfax to that group, and this is what I learned from that group. We tend to just kind of skip through it, during a meeting. I went to the SACOG meeting, or I went to LAFCO, and some of those are really important. And I would like to know more about what goes on in those meetings from our representatives that go. And not just verbally. I would like just something brief in writing each time. So I would like to talk about that on an agenda someday. I would also like to agendize something that I had heard was going to happen about a year ago when I went to Cindy Gustafson's, at that time, WACMAC meeting. And the sheriff's department at that time, I wish they were still here, mentioned that they would be installing cameras. And I assumed from that when that happened, that would come in front of council, that it was okay to put these cameras up, and it did not. And I would like to know at what point and how we agreed that we were going to put those cameras up. And I don't know how many there are, but I know there are several. And just for those of you that don't know, these cameras are constantly on, and they're recording things like car license plate for every car that goes by and type of car and whatever. And they have this really sophisticated software that they can use to look at it. And I just happen to think there might be a lot of people in this town aren't really crazy about that. So I would like to see how and when we made the decision that it was okay for the sheriff to put them up in our city, because there are cities that have turned them down. They don't want them. So I think that ought to be a council decision and not made however we made it in the last year, because we have cameras now. So that's the second thing. The third thing is I would like to know, and so would a lot of people in this town, why we took that tree down. And I think the proper way to handle that also is to put it on the agenda. I'd like to understand why we did that and what other options were considered, and get a chance to discuss that in front of the public, rather than just say, well, it's done already. We're going to pave it over. It's over and done with. Put it in the past. I'd like to know why we did that. I'd like to see that on the agenda. And then the last thing is, when we discussed the budget, we removed an item from it, the nonprofit versus events discussion that we came to no conclusion for. And we made a change in the budget. During the last meeting, we discussed it, and Sean made a motion and I seconded that we would approve the budget without that and would discuss that later. And I'm wondering, when is later going to be? Because I feel strongly about that, and it was only really discussed in a workshop at which no decisions are made. And I would like to see that on the agenda. And that's really all I have to say. I'm hoping to see them. If I don't, then I'm just going to ask the same questions again and again. I believe that we owe it to the public to be transparent about these things and not make decisions outside this room. And I would add that I'm not going to list them all now, but over the last year, a year and a half, we've made a number of decisions without them coming before council. And I don't really have any intention to dig all of them up, but there are probably a couple of them that I'd like to know the answers for. And that's all.
Thank you. Trinity?
I have nothing for good of the order.
Okay. Tom, I'm going to answer your question. Preston did do a presentation last meeting on the 3rd of July and everything that was happening, but I can paraphrase it real quick for you. Other than the fact that everything will be on social media. Your vendor spaces are completely full all the way up. You're going to have your 2 parades. You're going to have 2 flyovers by different organizations. You're going to have active military that is here as well. You have mini cows and baby goats that'll be here for the kids zone for entertainment. We have a juggler, a magician, a hula hoop artist, and a giant bubble person as well that will be here for the kids to be able to enjoy. Local band Malarkey will be here as well. Ambitions, our local dance team, is also performing that evening. And oh, yes, we will have a ride-on train available for people as well. We have an awesome train that is coming up whose little depot will be right in front of the hotel as well, that they can do that. And that's all I can remember off the top of my head at this point. Your fireworks are about 9:20-ish. They should be shooting off. Oh, and we have provided an agreement with the elementary school and the high school for use of their parking lot. So for all of our out-of-town visitors, we will do everything we can to push the parking traffic that direction. And we have a shuttle bus that will run from 5 to 11. They will go through both sets of the parking lots and drop everybody right there at the corner of the sheriff's substation. And they will be there afterwards to help pull people out so we don't have quite such a parking nightmare in town, and it'll make it easier for everybody to leave as well. So that's my short synopsis for you on that one. And then the one comment that I'm going to make on the things that Larry mentioned, I think some of them are great to bring on, but not every decision in the city comes before the council. This is why we hire a city manager, so that he can manage some of the smaller things, and we put our trust and faith in him to be able to do that. If there's questions in regards to that, it can obviously be addressed, but our city manager's job is to address the operating and the running of the city and the things that are going to keep it flowing and protect it. And that includes a removal of a tree or a bush or anything that is damaging property. And that's why we can't bring every decision that we make to us. If every single decision in regards to running the city came before us, I don't think we'd ever get anything done. So I have complete faith in why that decision was made. And if you walk out there, you can see what's happened to the bricks alone from in that area. So, all right, city manager.
Nothing more to add. Thank
Nothing,
you.
Connor? Nothing?
Nothing from me.
All right, do we have any public comment in regards to good of the order? Yes, the buttons are back, and there will be a display of the buttons at the information booth that we have lots of years worth of buttons, so you will be able to see them as well. Yep. Any other comments in regards to good of the order? Okay, then we're going to go ahead and close our regular meeting agenda, and we will turn over to our special meeting agenda. Can we just do roll call and skip the Pledge of Allegiance and all that stuff? Okay.
Do that.
All right. Do you guys want a 5-minute break, or do you want to just roll right into that? Okay, should only take a minute. Okay, so we're going to call our special meeting agenda to order, June 24th, 2026 at, what time is it? I can't tell, 7:30. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a roll call again, or you can say it hasn't changed, whatever you prefer.
Here.
Hold on. Councilmember Lohman,
Here.
Councilmember Douglas,
Present?
Councilmember Burris,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hilberg,
Here.
and Mayor McCauley.
Here.
All members present.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I have an approval of the agenda order?
Move to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. No changes in our reporting. So we're going to go straight to council business. So this is the resolution calling election on transactions and use tax for street maintenance to get this onto the ballot. And we will turn it over to you, Connor.
Thank you, Mayor McCauley. Council members, this is before you as a special meeting item because of the timing. We need to ask, or the city needs to ask Placer County Elections to conduct an election on the proposed sales tax by July 1st. So we need to adopt this resolution calling the election, approving the ballot label, and requesting Placer County Elections conduct the election and directing the city clerk to work with them to make that happen. What I need from you tonight is to take a look at the ballot label on page 2 of the draft resolution I provided. Give it a close read. I'll go ahead and read it out loud, but give it a close read because this is going to limit the use of the proposed sales tax. So this is the question you're presenting to voters. It's going to be what you ask them to approve, and it's going to be reflected in the legislative language of the ordinance that the city manager and I are working on. So we'll bring you an ordinance at a later meeting, but it's going to mirror this language and it's going to have the same purpose. So the ballot label I've drafted for your consideration is as follows. The City of Colfax Streets, Sidewalks, and Roadways Maintenance Measure. Shall the measure to fund construction, improvement, maintenance, repair, and replacement of streets, sidewalks, roadways, and other public infrastructure within the public right-of-way, including drainage and sewers, by adopting a 1% transactions in use, parentheses, sales, and parentheses, tax, providing approximately $1,864,000 annually until ended by voters, with independent audits, public spending disclosure, and a citizens oversight committee, and all funds spent locally be adopted. So that's the proposal. This is my understanding of what the council directed staff to bring forward. It is a special tax. It will be limited to the purposes specified in the ballot label. It will require approval from 2/3 of voters. So if you would like to do any wordsmithing, now's the time. Otherwise, I would ask you to adopt the resolution and direct staff to submit it to the county to initiate the election on the measure.
And so once we submit this, we would then draft the proposed ordinance, which include the structure for the Citizen Oversight Committee?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm working on that. It's most of the language is you have to get the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration to administer the tax. So they get to tell you what your ordinance says in large part.
Yeah.
And they also get to review the draft. So I've received their model ordinance. I've prepared a draft. I'm going to send it over to Ron here by the end of the week. And then we'll need to get CDTFA to review and approve what we're trying to do. But it will have the provisions to make this tax happen. It will have the public audit, citizens oversight, disclosure requirements. It'll have a stated purpose for what the funds are used for, all those sorts of things. But that is to come. That is a future item for the council to consider.
Okay. Do we have any questions or comments from the public? I think we're just going to put Tom's name on the podium right there. I love it. Well, I looked at each person. You just thought I was staring at you. 1%.
No.
Oh, to put it on the ballot.
The cost is going to be staff time. CDTFA requires we have to enter into an agreement with them to administer the tax, and that will cost an amount. I've asked them for an estimate, and I haven't received that estimate from them yet. So, well, this is not going to be like a petition, so we don't need to like circulate a petition and collect signatures on that, which is usually the expensive part of a ballot measure. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Should technically election appointed 2 council members because they're the only 2 that running, and it's the same money, so.
Because this thing.
Oh, sure, yeah. I don't have the answer to that question for you. I'm sorry.
Say, putting those 2 on.
I'm not sure, yeah. But yeah, there will be some cost to have the county run the election.
Right, do we have any comments or questions from the council?
I'm usually against all taxes. I'm a libertarian. I'm anti anyhow. But this one, I think I might actually vote for it. That's all.
All right,
Is there a deadline? What is the deadline?
To adopt this resolution?
Yeah. At what point must we give that information to the county?
July 1st,
July 1st.
which is why.
So I have a question about process.
Yeah,
This wasn't part of our regular agenda, so I can only assume it wasn't ready. We had to call a special meeting, which means that we only have to do 24 hours notice rather than 3 days, rather than 72. But the other thing is, I want to find a good way to phrase this. First off, let me say that I'm on the council and I didn't even get this. I wasn't properly noticed with 24 hours notice because I didn't get it. I didn't get it till I walked into this room tonight, and I don't know why that happened. I'm wondering, are there any council members that saw this before we came in here? And my interest is more in noticing the public. I think this is significant, and we owe the public more than just dropping it on them, because they could not have seen this till yesterday. But since I didn't get noticed, how did the public get noticed? Did they?
the public received notice in the same manner that all other agendas are publicly noticed. So it was posted outside City Hall. It was posted on the website. It was emailed to anyone who requests email notice of the agenda. I'm not sure why the council did not receive a copy via email like they usually do. That was a miscommunication on staff's part, and I apologize for that. The issue of calling the election was brought up 2 council meetings ago when council first directed staff to bring forward this sales tax measure. So I'm sorry that the resolution, and I brought it up at that time, that we needed to do a resolution calling the election. So I'm sorry that it didn't happen before then, but this was discussed at least a month ago, that we needed to do this. And additionally, this is not the proposed tax. This is just a resolution calling the election. There will be a future meeting where we propose an ordinance to the council. The council will introduce it in the same manner as any other ordinance. So we'll do a first reading. We'll do a second reading. There will be 2 different meetings where we consider this. So there will be an opportunity for the public to see the content of the actual law that is being proposed. This is really a procedural formality to get Placer County elections to run the election for the city. The substantive part that matters for tonight is the text of the ballot label. And I'm sorry you didn't have more time to review it. But I thought it best to try and, do it at tonight's meeting rather than postpone it closer to the July 1st deadline.
So if those words go to the county on July 1st, are you saying that we could change them later?
No.
I just don't think we did a good enough job keeping the public informed of what we're doing, and not even managed to get it done so that the public had 72 hours. We just dropped it on them yesterday afternoon at 3 o'clock or whatever it was. I just don't think that's good enough. So that's my feeling. I mean, this is big. This will put somewhere and I support the words that are there. I was one of the ones that insisted that it be a public election and not decided by those of us behind the dais. And I support all that. I just don't think we did a good enough job telling the public. And I don't think something this important should ever be handled as a special meeting with only 24 hours notice. I'll get off my soapbox. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Larry. Do we have any other questions or comments? Or do we have somebody who would like to make a motion so we can get this to the county and move forward?
I don't support any new taxes. I don't want to deny anybody the ability to vote on whether or not they would like new taxes to help improve our city. So I would like to make a motion to approve. What item is it? Item 2A. Thank you. The resolution calling for election on transactions and use tax for street maintenance.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
That's ready.
Sean said my thoughts perfectly and I will second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 No.
Okay. You had 4 ayes and 1 no. Okay,
Okay,
good.
yep.
All right, so that passes and we are adjourned. Thank you very much.